What's up guys, welcome back to NASpedia. I'm Razan and today we have a really interesting topic. Actually it is a step-by-step guide how to set up the NAS from scratch, from the hardware part, from the installation guide, and we are going to see some overview of the QTS and how to use some of the basic functions of the NAS when we initialize it and when we start using it for the first time. So I'll move to the PPT and just give you the introduction of what we're going to do today. And the first part will be the hardware introduction, how to set up the hardware part, and then move on to the other part, which is installing the firmware. So as you can see, we are going to use this NAS, which is a TS453B NAS. And you can tell by looking at the rear panel first, where it has the reset button here, and it has the cables to connect to the internet, the USB ports, RJ45s and the HDMI ports, and then it has also the USB Type-C port here and the USB port where you can connect it, and it has the OLED screen here. So to set up the hardware part of the NAS, first we have to shut down the NAS and then pull out the hard disk and then start again the NAS and insert the hard disk for that one, and then we can decide to do the installation part of the firmware. So we remove this part here, and then here you can see that this is a 4-bay NAS, and we can decide by pulling this one. You pull the first bay here, pull it out, and then you can see that we have 3 more. See here, I think you can see here more, 1 more, and the last one. So for this one is that you can see that this is the 4-bay NAS, and you can tell that the 4 trays go inside here, and I'll show you how to insert the hard disk in one of these and then insert it back in the NAS. So first thing first is that you remove the brackets from this side, and you remove this bracket as well, and then you place this one, and then you prepare the hard disk to insert in the tray. So you make sure you have the right side, and you just place the hard disk here. You close back you bring back the brackets as the same way as you opened it. Let me see here. Wait. Okay, so it has to do that click sound. Click here, click here. Yep, it did that. And then 1 more bracket for this side. Oh, that fell. Okay, let me check. 1 more bracket for this side. Yep, we do it by order. So here. Yep, yeah, this one as well. And then you have the screws. You make sure you put on the screws, but this is just for just a demo version, so just to tell you how to insert the hard disk. So I won't be doing much using a screwdriver or anything as source, and then I'll just tell you that we can insert the disk back in the NAS. So let me see. This one is working like this. Okay, I have small space here, so let me just push these things and make sure that this is going right. Let me see. Okay, the brackets on space. So you just insert this. You insert it like this. 1 by 1, you insert the hard disk in the NAS, and then you cover the top cover, and you have the NAS ready for installation. So you're already done with the hard disk part, setting everything. So before we move on, I want to tell you that every NAS has a sticker on it. So here, for example, for this one, because that one is for testing purposes and it's not going out of the company, so we just use for as a NAS for every task that we want to do here. But these NASes that are market setup, you have the quick setup where you make sure that the NAS is connected to the World Wide Web or connected through the same network and internet where your computer is connected. And then you access this website here, which is install.qnap.com, by providing the cloud key, which is here, this number here. So you can write there and start the very quick installation process, or by scanning the QR code, and then you can do the installation from your phone very quickly. So I'll move to the PPTs and introduce you the Smart Installation Guide for our QNAP NAS. And the Smart Installation Guide is a guide I will show you step by step how to use this quick setup that I just mentioned by using the sticker here. So I'll tell you to go to start.qnap.com, and if you know what kind of NAS you have some very useful information here. And you can check, for example, you have a 4-bay NAS as the one I was showing you, and I will install one of those. And I know the type is TS453B NAS, and it will show you the picture here. If it's another NAS, it will show you the photo like this. So I'm sure this one is the NAS I was using. I know the ports, USB port, it has here the OLED screen and everything. So the information here is very useful to how to install first the setup, the hardware part, the firmware installation, and hello QNAP NAS. Hello, and how to use it, start using it. By clicking first setup, and there are the instructions on how to set up how to make the hardware ready. So you open, unlock and remove the drive tray, install the 3.5-inch disk drives in the brackets, remove the brackets, and then put in the disk and put back in the brackets, and then you check whether the hard disk is suitable there, and you insert them back, insert the drives back into the tray in the NAS, and don't forget to close the latch. And as I mentioned earlier, you plug the network cable into the NAS, which is the either RJ45 cable or any other cable, and you connect it to the switch or to the router where it has internet access. So this is for the hardware part. So for the hardware part, that was now we can move to the Smart Installation Guide, which is the firmware here. So by the firmware here we have three options: either the cloud installation with the cloud key, the QFinder Pro utility installation, which is suitable for Windows, Mac and Linux, and if your NAS is not connected to the internet, you can use the QFinder Pro to locate it and to perform the installation process. Other than that, you have the local installation, which supports the HDMI output, and you can connect it to an HDMI display and follow the on-screen instructions for the installation. So as moving to the installation and following the link on the sticker of the NAS, which is the install.qnap.com, it will provide you this interface where you can check the list of uninitialized NASes. So this is one of our NAS that we are going to initialize and install today. So by clicking here, initialize, it will direct you to the installation page, or as mentioned earlier, you have the opportunity for the QFinder Pro utility installation, the cloud installation, or the local installation. So for now, I'll use the cloud installation by clicking here, install the firmware by using the cloud key. And there is the key, as I mentioned earlier, where I showed it, is that it starts with the Q, and for this NAS is 58567668, and I quickly click here, enter, and it will show us to the sign-in page with the QNAP ID. So the QNAP ID is very useful for myQNAPcloud to enjoy all the services for secure remote access, for data sharing and real-time notifications, and many other options that you can connect the NAS with other remote devices from your phone, from your computer, from another computer, like several computers can have access using the this cloud service. So you either sign in if you have already a QNAP ID, which I will use my old one, or create a QNAP ID, which it will direct you to account.qnap.com, and you can set up your account very quickly in just filling these three empty spots here by choosing a name, an email address, and set a password. And then you sign up and you will receive an email to confirm the QNAP ID and myQNAPcloud registration. So for now I will use my already set username and my already set QNAP ID in advance. So I believe this was the password, if I'm not wrong. And no, I think it's, there are so many passwords. Okay, well, okay. So I was able to connect, and I received a notification on my phone that I have ZoniCloud. Someone recently tried to sign in your QNAP ID with an incorrect password because I missed the first time. This is the beautiful part of it. It tells you when someone is trying to connect to. So maybe I'll go back to the demo and show you that register the QNAP ID with the device that we are going to install. So I will leave a device name. So it's going to be, let's say, QNAP NAS 1212. So this one is available, or maybe set an easier name so I will be able to remember it, which can be step guide NAS. Guide NAS is taken. Guide NAS 1 is already there. So I'll just keep a note here. There are so many addresses to remember, and then see that you have the internet address guide NAS1 at .myqnapcloud.com, or the smart URL guide NAS1. By clicking it, you don't have to actually write the IP, but you just keep the smart URL and it will direct you to the QTS. And then by clicking here, allow cloud link, we are going to set the cloud link, which it will allow us to remotely access the devices on the myQNAPcloud website and connect through your NAS via mobile apps on the phone. We will show you later how to. So I press next, and this is the part of the where we're going to do the installation process. And I received one more email on my phone, for example, from Dear ZoniCloud, your device guide NAS1 was registered to QNAP ID this email. So this is very convenient, I guess. And then we are here at the start, before starting the small installation guide. So we have successfully completed the myQNAPcloud settings. So we just press Start Smart Installation Guide, and we have here the 5 steps, simple steps to set up our QNAP NAS. So I'll leave this QNAP NAS as the NAS 115822 with the username admin, and I'll choose a default password as admin as well, and choose here to show the password. So the tip here, we provide you this tip to choose a unique name for the NAS. So if you are in an area where there are a lot of NASes, it will be much easier for you to recognize it and to find it. So I'll press next. I think that's, I will know my NAS because I know that number. I've been using it several times now, and I think no one has that one, so it will be quite unique. And setting the date and time, it's by synchronizing with the internet time server automatically using this NTP server in this NTP pool. and we have the GNT plus A type A, since we are at our headquarters here in New Taipei at the QNAP, and we will set the date and time automatically as it synchronizes by itself. But you have the option to check to put the timing of the NAS is the same as the computer or the device you're using, or input manually by your choice the date and the timing. So I'll leave it as it is now. Press next. And then we have the option of choosing IP address automatically by the NAS by using DHCP, or using a static IP address, which one it will be. This IP will be the only number that you will use and cannot be configured for after. I mean, it cannot change for before without resetting it. And the fourth one is the services in a cross-platform file transfer services for Windows, Mac, and Linux users, where you are able to manage the files in file management, share and transfer different files among operating systems where you have the Windows and Mac and Linux, and using network protocols, say Samba, CIFS, and the File Station, which is our authentic app in our QTS. And for Mac it has AFP, and Linux has NFS, but for now I'll leave the Windows and Mac. So I'll apply, and direct us to the summary, where we have the name and password. So we make sure everything is in order, or you have the option to edit it here, or just hide it and then make it smaller, or you see that you want to change the date and time, change the name or password, just click here and you have the option to change, or the network and other services. So I'll press apply, and by that the QNAP NAS firmware installation will begin. And this process may take several minutes depending on the system hardware and what kind of capacity does the hard drive have. So this, as you see, the bar is loading up to 99%. I guess this is a very quick installation, but it will take some time to adjust and to get until we get to the user interface. So we leave this as it is, and I think we can move and connect to another NAS and see what is the QTS. We have an overview of the QTS, how it looks like after the installation process is complete. When the installation process is complete, there are several other steps that we have to follow, like say set the disk mode, do the RAID function, and either to choose the thick volume or the thin volume on the storage pool. But that we will do it for later. Now I'll just give you the introduction of the QTS from another NAS, how the screen and the login will look like. So I'll move back to the demo, and I'll just say log out, and this is the first thing that you will have when connecting to the new NAS. This is the login screen. So we have, say, the name admin, and for the previous NAS we already set the password admin, but this is a different NAS, so I'll use a different password. That's why it will look longer here, and this will be basically it. And just press enter, and please behold our QTS. So you will be greeted by several notifications, especially if it's a newly installed firmware QTS NAS. You will have also the option of guides, and will show you simple steps on what everything is. But I will, since this one has been used earlier, you will just get file system notifications. For example, this will remind me later. So before I introduce anything, I want to say that the QTS is our software, and we can check here the QTS version. So by clicking there on the settings, we are going to use the version 4.3.4 in this NAS. So this is our QTS for this NAS. And then our interface looks of the main menu on the upper left corner, where it consists of systems and applications. And applications are all the applications that are installed here that serve different purposes, say for example to connect, to manage, to search files and everything, or the system ones for say the control panel, where we can check the general settings, the storage and snapshots, which I will talk later with the newly installed NAS and how to set the RAID modes. The hardware part, the firmware update, we check the firmware update, and the privileges of users, quota, user groups and shared folders, which I will give you an introduction later about that one as well. So, and this is the control panel, the main menu. And we have the search button here, where we can search for desired applications if we cannot find them. For example, Q filing, which is one of our authentic apps on file categorization and better file management, and it's an amazing app. And then just set there, click on it, and it will open it like this. We have the volume control, where we can control the media volume or audio alert volume. And by clicking settings here, it will direct us to the system control panel of audio alerts that we have. And the other one is this, tells you how many tasks are being performed in the background when you're using, when you're able to use other apps. So the other tasks can be performed and you can use the other part of the QTS. And this one tells you what other external devices are connected to the NAS, whether there are any devices connected to the NAS, and either is it another NAS or an expansion pack or other device to connect it. And this one is an event notification center, where you will receive notifications, either information. For example, on the update is available on App Center for a certain app or certain product that we have. They will receive errors if there is something wrong, or warnings before taking a step, or that might compromise you into doing the further process. And then the notice ones are this one that was the information, for example, the updates or malware scan has been completed, and so and so. And the other one is by clicking at this image here, you will be headed to the options of the QTS, where you are able to either remove the profile picture, or by just clicking on the image here, you are able to upload from your computer directly an image for your QNAP NAS. And you, based on your choice, it's optional, you can set an email or a phone number, and you can see the connection logs by clicking here, which it will send you to the system log and will tell you all the information on the connections that you did with this NAS. The other step is the wallpaper, which is very convenient because it changes directly by just clicking here, and you will see the changes immediately on the background, and then apply here, where you have the options to either fill, fit, stretch or tile it. But I think one very important step here in options here is security, because security is how to say, initial part of every product that we have and every product that we want to use. So two-step verification, I think it's one of the best security factors that we have nowadays, and QNAP NAS does provide you that opportunity. So by clicking get started here, you can set the account or scan this QR code or use the security key to move further on to set the two-step verification settings, and we just verify it here. And the third step is just going to give you the opportunity to have a 2FA protected NAS. The other step is change the password, where you can choose to change the from the old. You have first to set the old password, and you can choose to see it or not, and set the new password, and it's just done right there very quickly. Very convenient. You can also add an email account in this NAS by just clicking add here, and you can set an SMTP server, use different different email accounts, email service providers, set the email, username, password, and then you can just start sending a test email immediately to see whether you correctly set it. And then you have the misclones here, auto logout after an idle period of 1 hour or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on your choice that you want to log out after standing idle. And you have others like show the NAS time on desktop or not here, and other options, show the link on the bar on the desktop, show a list of actions when external storage devices are detected, and so on and so on. So I'll just apply this, and this I change the background to this one. Another important thing is that the QTS is very user friendly, and by just holding the left click you can select multiple folders here, multiple apps, and you can also group them. You can easily group them by just drag and drop. Say for example group here, or group here, the Q search, the license center, and the Q filing, and change the name right there, new name. Yep, it is there. And the other thing is the admin here. Admin, you can see the last login time was at 15:31, and you have directly the options either by clicking the image or here. You can locate my NAS, which it will make a beep sound, and you will know where the NAS is. For example, duration for 5 seconds, say, or longer, up to 60 seconds, or until stop. I can press start and you can hear the beep sound of my NAS, which is being located. So maybe the sound of the NAS is too low, but I can hear it myself, and I can locate my NAS, which is on the other side. More so, you have the restart option or the shutdown option, and to log out, as I did earlier before, to show you the login screen. And this is the settings part where you have a help option for a quick start, a virtualization guide, either the help center, or there are several tutorials on how to use the QTS and many other options. So another important part is the language setting. So the QNAP NAS provides operating system, the QTS, in several different languages, and it is very user-friendly for all these languages, as they are authentic to the language you want to use. You can set the desktop preferences to tab mode, window mode, or frameless mode. These two are for browser, and this one is for touchscreen or tablets. And then you can ask for help requests. You can send a help. You can make a help request for our support team. You can check the data and privacy, and know about the version of the QTS you're using. Another thing here is the dashboard, where you can have information on the system health, on the hardware information, resource monitor, and check the disk health, whether the health of the disk is in a good mood or is performing well. Also, you can check the storage pool, so you can check data volume 1, right? And by clicking that, it will direct you to the resource monitor of the storage pool and see all the information here for your storage pool. So this is a quick setting and very fast information provider. And by clicking here, the small robot here, it tells you that you have, this is the QBoost, you can optimize the memory, and you can see to clear the junk files. By clicking optimize, it will just optimize memory based on the apps that you are using and how much CPU usage those apps are consuming, and it will, those that are idle, they will be given less priority to the CPU, so the CPU uses those that you are using currently. And the junk files uses this one to clean your files, and maybe if you see in the later videos or more detailed explained videos, you will see that we have options like Q-tiering, where it has automated space allocation for better use. So for that, this is the recycle bin here that we have, or in the file station, and then you can see the deleted files or anything that you have for more. And the file station is our authentic file management app. which I will talk about it later. So let's see, this is the login screen then of our QNAP NAS, as I showed earlier, from where we did the installation. So I'll log in with the password admin again, and because we were using another NAS, we are using several NAS. So apparently this is the first things that you will get once you install the firmware. So the first thing is welcome to storage and snapshots. So storage and snapshots is going to provide you with information about the storage and the storage pool and what kind of RAID groups you're going to use, and information of the disk on either is it SSD, SAS or SATA. And by clicking next, it will give you more information, how the blocks work, how the storage pool works, and which one, maybe with this information you can decide which one is the most suitable one for you. So by using the snapshot in File Station, you can see that you have the snapshot manager, which is going to help you snapshot all the documents and save everything in the File Station and never lose them again. So you can do these snapshots. You can just access them at any time, any point when you did the snapshot. So back up the data to another NAS using the snapshot. These are all options that our QNAP NAS provides, and these are very initial information that we want to provide to every QNAP NAS user, because you can, for example, use a snapshot vault to transfer data from one NAS to another NAS by setting it, if it's a very large, very large data files, and you can use snapshot vault to transfer to from NAS to NAS information by using third-party transfer modes. So I'll finish this one. So in the storage and snapshot, why we are here, the question is because we have to set the disk volume and to create the storage pool. So we have the firmware installation, but we have the NAS has 3 more disks. So we have to install the disks and be able to use to access the files and to have access to the disks from our NAS. So by clicking here storage pool, I'll just create a new storage pool. So it has a storage pool wizard, which it tells us whether we want what kind of storage pool combine RAID groups, in either the thick or thin volume, or there is also the iSCSI, and then you have the storage pool here. So this was the introduction part. I'll click next, and I'll select the disks that are already in the NAS, and to configure those disks, I select all the 3 disks that I have, these 2, this 3, and these 4, which are HDD disks, hard drive disks, and bus types are SATA disks with 1.82 terabytes each. So we can choose the RAID type. Either there are several different types. The JBOD can be for 2 or more disks. RAID 0, there are 2 or more disks available, but for this time we choose RAID 5, and for when there are 3 disks available, and it has the 1 disk protection failure mode. So this one is very suitable for us right now. So we chose the RAID 5 configuration mode, RAID mode, and we have the advanced settings whether we want to have an alert threshold or not, of maybe of 80%. That's the default one. I'll just leave it there. And we have the summary of the storage pool. So this is what the configuration will look like, and we have the 2.8% reserved and unallocated 97% of the storage pool. So we will just create this one, and all of the data on the selected disk will be erased. So if there was any data on those disks, they will be erased and will be available for use and for storage after this one in our QNAP NAS. So I'll just press OK, and this might take a few minutes to set everything. And maybe we have to wait for this one. You see, we got here the notification center, as I mentioned earlier, that we have the system has detected that you are using default password. So I use the update is available. We got all this information for our QNAP NAS. So while this is going on, I would like to move to the next mini topic, the subtopic that for our QNAP NAS, and show you how to set up my QNAP Cloud. As you saw earlier, I already had an account, and you could set up the QNAP Cloud before installing the firmware with the QNAP Cloud ID, and by using the cloud key or with the QR QR code. So this sound was from my NAS, which is initializing and reordering the RAID, and it tells me here that I will show you in the demo. It tells me here that the storage pool storage pool 1 is completed, is actually created. So create a new volume to begin storing data. So maybe I'll create a new volume here. So creating a new volume has 4 simple steps also, and we can choose what kind of volume we want. So probably I'll stick with the thick volume. So we have static volume, we have thick volume, and we have the thin volume. So the static volume is for single fixed, and the thick volume is the one that is multiple but has pre-allocated space, and it is kind of supported. But the thin volume, it can choose the data based on demand, and it has also the support as the thick volume. So we can choose the location, which is the storage pool 1, and we will have this free size to use. So I'll stick to the thick volume again, and you can see the thick volume and thin volume both support snapshots. So these are maybe the more preferred ones, as it also is by default, and thick volume. So I'll just press next, and then see on the configuration of the thick volume that we have volume alias, data volume 1, and volume capacity of 702 NT JB, or we can set it to the maximum. But for now, I'll leave it as it is. I don't want to spend a lot of time waiting for these configurations, because there are many more other things that we want to discuss here. So I will come back to my QNAP Cloud again, because this was where we have to set up the part of the firmware installation. So I will come back to the QNAP Cloud again. We didn't start yet, I was just mentioning. So I will continue with the configuration, and we can see that the storage pool capacity was 2828, and file system options here you have the bytes per node, 4K to maximum this, 15.99, and it's 32K for 127.99 terabytes, and maximum number of file folders up to 23 million. So up to 23, yeah. So next is the summary of all the configuration modes that we chose, and I'll just press finish here, and we're going to do the data volume 1 is being created here, so it's initializing. While that is initializing, we can see what were the messages here. So the help center, closing down, licenses are available in QNAP License Store. So we have the QNAP License Store. So you can get QTS SSL certificates, IMCAFE antivirus, exFAT drivers, or camera channel license. So these are here. Also the notifications that you will get in the QTS, and this one is creating the default folder. So while that happens, I'll go back to setting up my QNAP Cloud, and I will show you how to set up my QNAP Cloud account and using the myQNAPcloud app, which is, as mentioned earlier, is this one. So this is another NAS, so maybe I'll do it on the other NAS again and have QNAP Cloud services in both NASes. So the waiting for the data to load is this one is creating the default folder, and that one might take some time. Let's see here. The background tasks. Okay, this is not real, so it will go faster, but it depends on the connection. So I'll get started here, the overview of myQNAPcloud, where you have this part to get started immediately to set up the account, or auto router configuration, and you can see the status after you connect, and use CloudLink. CloudLink you can use with the QNAP ID to have access to the NAS or using cloud service from your phone, from your other computer, or several other remote devices. So I'll press here to get started and set a new account. So first step is to create or sign in a QNAP ID, which we are going to use, register the NAS with that QNAP ID, and enable myQNAPcloud remote access services. So we will enable those remote access services from other devices. So please sign in a QNAP ID to proceed, or create a QNAP ID. So first it will send you here again, where you will be able to set up a QNAP ID. I already have one, so you just use a nickname, you choose an email, you set a password, and you will receive the email as I received earlier for setting the new or trying to log in. So maybe I will just use my old, I will just use my already set up QNAP ID, and I'll log in. I'll log in here, and I think this was the right password if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's loading data, please wait. So maybe I'll just close these windows, because then we are waiting for the thick volume integration on setting myQNAPcloud. So this after that, the loading data, we logged in with a QNAP email, QNAP ID with my email and password. We can set a name for the device that we want to use. So one in the beginning it was Guide NAS 1, if you remember. So maybe we can set Guide NAS 2. So it provides me the same, I will have access. This is just to show you how that you can do another QNAPcloud ID another way, as we did it before in the beginning. But this is to show you that you can do it also from the QTS. So after finishing the wizard, you can access your QNAP NAS remotely with the following internet address, or with this smart URL, which it will direct you there. So you will have qlink.to/guidenas2 or guidenas2.myqnapcloud.com. And then you can have the configuration options for your device, or auto router configuration, automatically configured for port warnings. You use the DDNS, published services, and important CloudLink, which I mentioned earlier, to use the cloud services or the NAS remote from the remote devices. So next, this will register the device with our QNAP ID, and we'll link it with a CloudLink. And while we wait for this one to initialize, we can maybe check on or go check on the status of the newly installed NAS, which we have already. Is the data volume system is in place. We have the thick volume, as you can see, when we can see the storage here. We have disk 2, disk 3, and data volume 1 is ready with thick volume and the capacity here. And with the storage pool, if you remember, this was empty. The storage pool is there already. So the back to QNAPcloud again. So the QNAPcloud is already set, and we have a summary thanking us for setting the QNAP ID with the device name, and tells us that we can have the option of having the SSL certificates and other options to use QNAPcloud features. So by clicking finish, it will provide you the information here: QNAP ID, ZoniCloud, QNAPcloud device name, the one that we connected, and the smart URL, which you can either copy it here or directly click here. It will head us to the device that we linked it with, which is this NAS. and with the smart URL, and we can see that the cloud link is loading and setting for to make it ready for us to use remotely from other devices. And also it provides you the information of the smart URL here, and you can go with that URL. You can copy paste it to the device that you want to use it, or you can check the connection status, which is normal and is connected here and here. So the connection was established at this point. So we go back to the overview, and we can wait while this one updates. So this is how you set up the QNAP Cloud ID from myQNAPcloud, or to do that. So this is now, we did everything, the installation of the firmware. In the meantime, we explained the QNAP Cloud ID, and we showed you other methods to do the installation. This is how the newly installed NAS is look like, and we set everything in place and in order. So after doing that, maybe I will go and explain to you in the new QNAP NAS, in the newly installed NAS, we can see that we can have access to different users. We can have different users for this NAS. We can set different user groups, and then we can make it possible to have access to shared folders within the users or user groups. So first thing is that I can, besides the administrator or the admin username, the one that we use, we can create a new user, and then we can set the description for testing purposes, say purposes, set the username test1. This is optional if you want to set a password or not, and then you have here the password to if you set a password, you have to verify it here, and it has to be ASCII code 0 to 64 characters. And the optional is also the phone number and the email address if you want to use. And then you can see which user group it belongs. It belongs to everyone. Shared folder permission, read only. So for if this user will have permissions to read only but not write, so he is not able to edit any files or anything in those folders, in those shared folders. So we can also edit the application privilege, but for now I'll just create the user. So by creating the user, I mean that we have one more user now here, and you can see the actions of this user. You can change the password for this user, edit the account profile, edit user group, so which group he wants to belong, maybe into the administrators. It will have more rights, more privileges, or edit shared folder permission. So for now, for these shared folders, this user has these privileges, which is in the public folder is read only and doesn't have any access to web and homes folders. But we can go to the shared folders, and then we can create a shared folder ourselves, and we can call it however we like, say testing shared folder, and we can leave a comment for testing purposes, and then we can choose this volume, which is a datable one that we already did. And you can decide whether you want to enter the path manually or specify a path automatically. By entering a path manually, you can just click there and it will give you all these options. Where do you want this folder to be located at? But I'll just specify that automatically. And then you can configure access privileges for users here. So who you want, which user you want to give access. So probably for testing purposes, the username test1, I will give read and write administrator privileges. And then by that, we can do the folder encryption if we want to set a password here and save the encryption key or not. But I will not encrypt this folder, I will close it. And then there are several advanced settings here. So by several advanced settings is that we can do we can choose like read only, and then here for example standby encryption for only the read only, or deny access for these options here, enable network recycle bin, deny access, or lock files, deny access. So for now I'll leave it as it is, but there are several options here on advanced settings. So I'll create it, and while this one is created, I will see that here we have testing shared folder, the size 2 folders, files 2. It will have probably the initial files, and where it is the volume, data volume 1. And then we can check the user group. So we have 2 user groups: the administrators, where is the admin user part of, and the test and the everyone else, where is the test one user part of this user group. So we have this authentic app, the file station, where is we can see that we created a shared folder from there, and the users that have access to this one. Or you can just click here and then create a shared folder here very quickly as an option. So I think I provided this information very clearly. So I think we can move to the new subtopic, which is connecting the PC to the NAS. So what I mean by that is that you can actually have a folder of your NAS in your computer as it was mounted there, as it was part of your computer, as it was a folder already there, and you can move by just drag and drop files from folder to folder. Let's see how that works out. So I'll just go to the demo part, and if you remember, there was one option to use the QNAP Finder Pro to do the installation, smart installation guide. You can download this software and use this one to install the firmware, or you can use it for other purposes as well, which is going to help us set the folder mount in our computer of QNAP NAS. So for that is that we choose our NAS, for example, here, and then we can click here, connect, storage, plug, and connect. So we provide the username admin and the password admin. Click OK, and it will direct us into more details of what are the next steps. So this welcoming it tells us will help you create shared folders on the device and map network drives. So maybe I will use create a network drive. I will not create a map, and map a network drive. So map a network drive, I will use this one to map it immediately. And then I can choose one of the folders. I can start one of the QNAP drive here with data volume, and wait for that to be added, right? So wait, this information. So we will have folder QNAP drive, and then we can set an Y, for example, because I already have done that earlier for another folder, which I will show you how it will look like, not to wait for this one. So I'll press OK here, and we are creating the network drive for a QNAP drive here, testing shared folder, and the public folder part of it. So we create a network drive there, and that's done. And this will be mounted here. So you see the QNAP drive here. This is where what I was talking about, or earlier as I did for another NAS for this folder. But this one is here. So if you want to move, say, any document or anything, you can just drag and drop it and move it very easily from one of these to all my documents or downloads or any other folder that I want to connect my PC with a NAS directly. So this is one option to connect. The other one would be connecting through cloud services. If you are on another computer and you are another remote device and you want to connect, have this interface or have access to the files, you can use the cloud service of we're using the smart URL that with the ID that we set for the cloud link. So for that also is an option to use say for mobile devices. So we're going to see now how we can connect via mobile device the NAS. So where I have a phone here in my hand, and we can see use the cloud services and use our authentic mobile app for the phone. So I will start my phone. You see, these are the messages from QNAPcloud where I set the account for QNAPcloud. So let's see. Here we have the apps. So we have Q file. Press Q file, and it will open here. Where I already tried it earlier, and I connected to this other NAS. So maybe I will use one of those or try to show you guys who use one of them, one of the new NAS. So you have option to download the folder, the add a NAS, or the settings where you can see the what QNAP ID you're using, cache, whether you have a passcode lock, and all the privacy and other information that you want to edit here in the settings. It's quite elaborate, so you can try it yourself. You can use the settings based on your needs and based what you want to use the Q file for. So I'll just go here by adding a NAS. So there are two options: add a NAS manually, which means that you can, if you know the IP address, or if you know myQNAPcloud name, you can directly say connect to the NAS. So maybe I will connect to the old NAS that to the NAS, not the one that I installed, but the other one that I was trying, the myQNAPcloud. So maybe it was the 10 dot. I have to check if I have internet connection. So because I need to have internet connection on my mobile device to have access to the cloud services of myQNAPcloud. But first I'll try to use, I assume I have internet now on my mobile device. If not, I'll try to connect it after. So 10.8.11.65 admin, and set the password, username, password, and the host IP, and save it here. And then this will take maybe not very long to load. And then as you see, I connected my phone to the QNAP NAS, and I have access to all the files and all the folders, all the data that is in the QNAP NAS through my phone, which is very convenient. And as you can see, you can check, you can open any of the files there. You can either upload, you can view the mode, you can select, or you can add a new folder. So I think this has been quite useful and quite understandable to use and initialize a newly installed QNAP NAS. So as we go back, we see the QNAP NAS that we installed today and we presented today is all set from hardware to the QTS and using to the mobile device and sharing folders on the PC. So I'll go back to live, and I would like to thank everyone for staying with us and watching this video. I invite everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and for more videos or videos like this, you want to know more, go to live.qnap.com, check NASpedia, or provide the keyword of the topic you're interested to know more about. So thank you everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.